interview. Okay. So last few interviews we got it. Okay. So in this video, in this class, I'm going to discuss about Kubernetes roles and responsibilities as a DevOps engineer, as a Kubernetes engineer. So what is the roles and responsibilities you need to take care? Okay, that's only one question commonly they are asking for everywhere. Okay, in every interview. Okay, so that we need to giving in a such a in a real time way we need to answer it. Okay. So, right, the Kubernetes is a powerful container orchestration platform. Okay. Automating the deployment, automating the scaling, automating the management of containerization of applications. Okay. It's completely automation. Kubernetes is completely automation. Docker is not automation. Right? Docker is a next generation of virtualization technology. Docker will help us to build applications in a smaller environment, use a low amount of disk space, okay, low amount of computer resources. They can run multiple application without depending of operating system. The completely kernel-based operating system, they'll develop the applications and be releasing it. But fortunately, so Docker services, if you want to recollect, okay, in case, can you please tell me honestly, how many of you are confidently, if I'm giving a task to develop one Docker application, build and you can push the image on the hub.docker.com, how many can do that? Can you raise your hand? Can please raise your hand? How many of you can able to handle to build and you can push the Docker image on the hub.docker.com without any help? You can do that. Nobody is not confident. Nobody is not confident, right? So that's why Monday morning I'm going to start the session for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. Okay, Monday and Tuesday I'm going to take the Docker services for most of the people. Okay, so whoever my old batch, everybody, I'm going to invite. So please join that because of nowadays Docker are asking very high demand in the interview level. So please join the class. But I'm not taking the class at 8 o'clock, sorry, 8:30. I'm planning to take the class at 7 to 8 o'clock. Okay, 7 to 8 o'clock. So everybody, please join the class at 7 to 8. That's my request. Hmm? So once you completed Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday, we will be do the projects. Wednesday, Thursday, we will do the projects deployment. Then we can close it. For Kubernetes and Docker concepts, we can close it. Are
Yeah,
clear?
Rajesh, small
Yes,
doubt here.
please.
For our batch, Dockers is not completed.
I know. That's what I know.
Yeah,
Few people are completed, few people are not
yeah,
completed. So a few people are already completed, but they are not. I have seen that nobody was performed uh, properly created Docker and all because of if I'm giving a task for Windows application creation on the Windows machine or Linux machine, they're doing. But if I'm asking to doing on the Docker, they're not performing it because of they're thinking like that Docker is such a big. No, Docker is a very simple technology. We can build that. So that's why Monday onwards we are going to start the project. So please join everybody. Okay. So 8 o'clock is getting delayed. Okay. So I would request her to join that. Uh, I think when Tuesday we have Independence Day, we can
yeah.
utilize that time. Okay. Even I am also holiday. So you can please join and complete the task. Hmm. So the next task is today, what are the roles and responsibilities of the Kubernetes? So Kubernetes, you can tell that introduction, Kubernetes is a powerful container orchestration platform. This will automating the deployment works, okay? And the deployment works and the scaling works and management of containerization of applications that will take care of it. So Kubernetes completely built for container-based applications, not for the normal ones. So you need a Docker. Okay, you need a Docker, and it will use to set off roles and responsibility to distribute your task. Okay, with the help of permissions in the Kubernetes cluster. So we have a few roles and responsibilities in the um, in the Kubernetes, 5 to 7 roles are there. So let's discuss the one by one. What are the Kubernetes roles and the responsibilities? So first one, cluster administration. Cluster administration. So what is your role in the cluster administrator means? You'll be responsible overall cluster management and operations. So EKs, we have created one cluster, right? The cluster completely you need to take care of it. Any problem it is coming, you need to solve that. You're the responsible person. And maybe upcoming projects, if they are raising a request to you, you need to set up and configure the Kubernetes cluster. So that means you have a whole and sole responsibility for cluster creations, cluster management, cluster operations, everything. And whenever required, you need to allocate the hardware resources to the nodes. I already explained in the previous session, if you're creating the cluster node, the number of servers are created. That means instances are created. That's called Docker host servers. So if the server health is very bad, you can check the server health monitor and what is the utilization of that. You can increase the server. That means allocating the additional hardware like a CPU memory, and you can change the instance type to one type to another type, and you can increase at least your only utilization will be 70%. You should not cross more than 75% overutilization on the server. It will become slow down the process of delivering of the applications and managing the applications. So completely you need to allocate hardware resources to the nodes and maintaining the infrastructure. Coming to the manage network policies, storage, and security settings. So this will give you uh, properly you can deliver your applications. Network policies. Network policies are like that, what is the incoming and outgoing rules with the help of security groups inside of Amazon EC2 in the security network configuration in Amazon Web Services. So based on the application wise, the application needs internal ports and external ports we need to configure properly in the Docker image file, and you can expose those particular ports on the firewall level. So firewall level means security group level. So with that, if it is satisfied, client also able to access the applications with a user-friendly name or maybe IP address based, they can able to access the application. Coming to the storage, you are running a number of applications on the Docker. So completely, they'll use a small amount of operating system to run the more applications on the Docker container. So container equal to a virtual machine or maybe container equal to server. So in the container, we are running the images. That's all Docker images we are running. So this even image also running through, okay, we are creating the Kubernetes orchestration. The images are creating, and images, everything you will be managing from the local public private hosted services. You can do that, but 95% of the environment, they'll not directly take the plain operating system and they're managing it. So even though taking the plain operating system and all, they will be creating a new account in the hub.docker.com that I will explain coming Monday. Okay, how to create a new account and how to create a private registries and the public registries. We need to do that. 95 to 99% of the time, every project will create the repositories in the private level only. In the private level, whatever the Docker images they're creating, they pushed into the private repository sections. They'll give that some kind of nomenclatures. So let me tell you in the second stage of image nomenclature, image naming process. Okay. So now what you are doing in this case, the private repositories, you need to maintain that, where we need to store how many applications we are running on the Docker host server. You need to maintain the proper storage, at least 50 to 60% of the utilization, remaining 40% will be make it free for disk IO operations, applications will be running very smoothly. And coming to the security settings, so ultimately nowadays, uh, DevSecOps is there. Have you heard the name called DevSecOps? Have you heard the name called DevSecOps anywhere in the internet and all? So we are building applications and we are delivering and we are doing automation. We are doing the CI/CD pipeline in the DevOps tools. But how much it is safe and secure? Because of all are open source, right? Huh? All are open source. So how you will be maintained? So we have a team called a security team, information security team. Information security team, they will scan the applications from the tools. Okay. They have different types of tools and they'll be maintained. They will generate the vulnerability report. They will share with you. Okay. As a DevOps engineer, you're being a part of managing the Kubernetes services and which are the ports are opened for any security threats are there. And you need to update the patches of your Kubernetes services. Let me tell you how to patch the Docker. So how to use kubectl patch? So with the help of kubectl patch, okay, now this type of script they will be preparing. The patching will be doing that. So the updated version we will be taking care of that so that we will mitigate the risk on the production environment. We will mitigate the risk on the environment. So like that, we have a different programming language like a Go, AML. So different patch types are there. So based on the commands and based on the instructions which is given by the security team, then you can modify the script and you can update the patches. So kubectl patch deployment patch demo. So type merge. So existing file and you're giving the new file and we are updating that. And what is the new things we are replacing some values and all some files, some updated things. You can make a tight security for your applications. If you're not updating your applications day by day, your environment will get weaker. So in case of really any issues are coming in the environment, easily affected your servers. Most of the people are giving a wrong directions and wrong suggestions. You are setting up the Kubernetes environment and a Docker environment on the Linux operating system. Linux is more secure than Windows operating system. You don't want to take care of anything. Everything will be taken care by Linux. These are the very false information. Even though Linux operating system, we need to patch it. Okay. Even though Linux applications, we need to patch it. So there is no excuses for these updations. So monthly, quarterly. So application wise, operating system wise, you need to do updations. You need to take care. But Windows will be taking care every monthly. Even at least Linux machines, you can take care of at least a quarterly patching. 3 months once you can do the patching. That's mandatory step. So coming to scalability, scalability of the cluster. So high availability, scalability, you need to take care in the cluster administrator. High availability means what? In case if a Docker host server is down, if your Kubernetes host, the cluster is down, okay, if only one server you created, the complete production will be down. So the cluster at least maintain the number of applications you're deploying, a number of pods you're deploying. Based on that, you need to create number of servers in the cluster. In case one or two servers are down, the remaining servers we need to handle the request for pod creation, pod management, node creations, node management, and all. That is called availability. So always application should be available and service should be available. Scalability is there. If your more users are getting connected and all, so scalability is there. I already shown that auto scaling feature is there in Amazon EC2. the instances, you can go here and you can set automatic policy rule. Okay, if you created utilization of the server, the Docker host server in Amazon EC2, if more than 70% of utilization, we can give a number of iteration, like example, 2 servers additionally we need to create, so that if more people are getting connected, backend auto scaling process will start. So auto scaling, not only we're managing for the Windows instances, even Docker machines also, you can easily manage it. That we already seen that. So last class we have modified the Docker settings, make it 0, and we have set that and we have monitor it. Automatically the servers are down. When you're giving 1111 desired state, minimum state, and maximum state, once you set up that, the number of instances, whatever you're giving in that control panel of the uh, cluster, okay, automatically the number of servers are created on the Amazon EC2 console that you need to take care. Example, you are a engineer in the team and you need a more performance. You're creating huge number of servers you created and making a good performance. There is no more use actually. If bill is generated more, okay, definitely your management team will ask you, hey, why this much of bill was generated in a month of managing this servers? So what is the utilization and what are the number of applications or users are connecting this application? If you're checking the report, if it is not balancing, that will be a very bad performance for you. So as an engineer, you need to clearly verify that. Slowly you need to check the cost management and the load management. You need to do that. So load testing, without that you cannot do that any kind of task. So if one user is connected, if 10 users are connected, if 20 users are connected, you need to check the load monitoring. What is the utilization? So based on the total number of applications, total number of users, total number of application servers, then you can decide how many servers you need to maintain, and you need to change the cluster configuration, scaling policies. So then only you can increase and decrease. Automatically they'll take care. Manual incremental, decremental process is a tough job. Nobody will do that. Coming to the second one is the image naming process. So whatever the servers you're creating and all, the naming should be properly you need to maintain. Managing the resources, okay, with the namespaces, you need to follow that. So in that namespaces, you can set the different teams of applications we are using it nowadays. So you can set some standard names and a standard version controls. You can set that. So based on that, they will create a pods or maybe server name or application name. Okay, they will go with the standards. Otherwise, you also creating the same, even other person also creating the same name, they get a name conflicts will be there. Don't do that. And coming to the third one is application owner. Okay, so application owner. Yeah, every company depends on the applications. Okay, number of applications. The applications need to take a wild decisions. Okay, approvals. They given to a key holder person's names. Example, Galil, he is working on some progressive application. He will take care of it. Shashi, she is a Nginx developer, application developer. She will take care of Nginx. Raji Reddy, he is actually some other application he's working. Okay, so he will take care of it. So whenever you're doing any kind of design, development, packaging of application containers, you need to talk to the application owner. What is the exact requirement? What is the current version? And what is the future versions? What is their expectations? That everything you need to check that as a DevOps Kubernetes engineer. Okay, design, development, and packaging of applications of the containers you need to take care. And other than that, you need to give the set of scope, the deployment configuration, what you need to do. So pods creation, services configuration, deployment configuration that you need to set up that. And if you're managing the application lifecycle, so scaling, so n number of servers you need. So n number of servers means that much of number of servers you need to create it. Rolling updates. So rolling updates is nothing but I told you, know. So whenever the newly developing an applications, one version to another version, the version we need to deploy on the Kubernetes server so that you will get a new features, you will get a new enhancements to security configuration, everything you will get it with the help of rolling updates. Coming to that, as a DevOps engineer, you need to monitor the application health status. Uh, Keep on, you have to check that monitor dashboard, Datadog, or maybe CloudWatch, wherever you are managing the dashboard consoles, you need to check that. So, what is the progress utilization? In the progress utilization, whether it is healthy or near to health or maybe getting destroying, everything you need to monitor. And finally, in case of any problems are there, you can talk to the stakeholders or application owners and you can take decisions like you can increase the number of servers or maybe you can stop the unused applications, you can stop the Docker containers on the particular host, then you can take care of it. And even collaborating work with a cluster administrator collaborations. So sometimes Galib is working on one cluster and Shashi is working on one cluster. So Shashi needs some help to deploying some configuration. So Galib has some bandwidth on the daily works. So then they'll take a request and they're providing permissions to the particular cluster permissions, administrator activities, and Galib will access the cluster and checking that what are the applications are there, and those applications he will update and he will help to Shashi. So based on that, we will be collaborative work manner. We will be without any delay. Our applications will get completed. Okay, so this is called application ownership when we are working on the Kubernetes environment. The next one is a cluster operator. So you remember, right? In the first class, in the cluster, we have a etcd, DNS, and plugins, everything they'll be configuring. Okay. So that you need to take care. What type of plugins you need to collect, and what is the database is there, the database size, and the DNS configurations that you need to set up. Okay. So next, whatever the storage you are providing in the Docker server, you need to provide the persistent volume. What is meaning of persistent? There are two types of volumes will be there. Persistent volume, non-persistent volume. So persistent volume means I created a server in the persistent volume. I rebooted the Docker and I log in back. After I checking that my configuration should be there. This is called persistent volume. Non-persistent means until the machine is power on, whatever they're doing, the data will be saved. Once I rebooted, the complete settings, everything will get vanished and you'll create a fresh copy. So that means you lose your all the data. So that is called non-persistent. So my suggestion, except a few configuration level, not here in other technology, 99% you can use the persistent volume only. Okay. Until unless your data, everything is saved on the cloud somewhere else, every session you'll be coming back and the data is back from the cloud, just like a Google Drive, OneDrive, like that activity, you can take the non-persistent volume. Otherwise, you can take it. Network policies you can create. So based on the communication of your applications and the resolving of related cluster-wide services and components. Any cluster issues you face it. Okay. So any alerts or monitoring issues, if you're coming, you need to solve the problem. And what else is required? Storage administrator. The complete, okay, persistent volume in the cluster will be taken care by storage administrator only. So mostly you don't have a permission. So allocating the storage and all, every team has a, every project has a storage administrator will be there. He use a NAS SAN, cloud storages, such kind of volumes they'll be maintained. So you can send a request to the storage administrator to setting up the Docker environment to store our cluster and cluster nodes, managing of the store solutions with the persistent volume in the cluster. So that will take care of by storage administrator, but you need to interact with the storage administrator without any delay. So he will not come and ask you what type of storage is required for you. So you need to send a request to the a team. I'm going to do this kind of applications. You need this much of bandwidth. I need a persistent volume. So whenever needed, we need to increase the storage. So all these things you need to talk to the storage administrator. Such kind of thing. And we have a network admin also. Okay. Network admin. So even network admin also is managing the policies of the cluster. So like we have load balancers, we have an ingress controller, egress controller, pod configuration, services meshes. So this type of configuration they will take care. So you need to hand over the task to network engineer, they will take care. Let me give you something. You are deploying some application name called Nginx, the port number is 8080. So even though you have a AWS management console, you don't have permissions to editing the security groups. So here, everybody you're logging with the full administrator access for the AWS console, you're modifying and creating the inbound rule and the outbound rule, but real-time environment not like that. There has a lot of process will be there. You need to raise a request. They will check that. They will send for approval, discussion. Then we'll create a rule and giving access to you. So then only you can communicate with that port number. Otherwise, not possible. So this task will be taken care by your network administrator, whoever already have a good experience on the networking side, like a open networking concept like a Cisco networking, like a CCNA, CCNP. So this type of technology who learn, they will take care of it. Nowadays, not only you're learning the networking, even the cloud networking also very important as a network engineer. And next is storage is completed, network is completed, security. Okay, already told security engineer, security administration, implementing the network policies of controlling of pods. So what are the pods you're creating? You're monitoring it. So monitoring and respond to the security threats and vulnerabilities. So you keep on check the mails from the security bulletins. Probably some companies, your mail address will be registered with the security bulletins. Otherwise, your manager or maybe senior manager or delivery head, their mail address are configured with the network bulletin email address. Once they'll receive, they will forward to you. So generally, they will follow. Uh, they will forward that emails to you. So without fail, you need to check that particular mails and what are the scope of the work they'll be sending and whether it is related to your technology or not, you need to check that. So generally, monthly one report they will send. So keep on, you have to check that whether your environment is healthy or not. You need to reply that email to the team. Yes, my environment is safe and secure. So what are the expected version is already we are upgraded. So these are the servers are there. These are the port numbers are there. So definitely they'll give some kind of checklist. You need to update and send to the your team member. Next, monitoring. Okay, monitoring. So once you set up all the environment, you don't want to take any risk. So continuously you can check that what is utilization and how many users are running and all. So based on that, you can start working on it. Sorry, guys, I'm back. So monitoring is must. So we have a third party monitoring tools are there. So Grafana and other tools and services are there. So when we are integrating the services, we can easily monitor that. So the next concept we will go for monitoring after the Docker services. So finally, we have one more task for is automation. Automation. So automation means now here everything we are doing manually, right? So like Docker creation, pod creations, everything we are doing manually, right? So if you're implementing CI/CD pipelines, okay, CI/CD pipelines with the Jenkins, okay, so that application will be deploying automatically on the environment. So you can tell me how many of you are readily available Jenkins lab with you? Recently you completed, right, Jenkins? How many of you have at least one server with a perfect configuration of the Jenkins setup? Copy?
Yeah, Rajesh.
You have a Jenkins setup readily available?
1 minute.
No worries. If you don't have also not a problem. Another batch Jenkins are successfully configured and we have readily available in Windows Server and Linux Server. So if you guys are taking a much time, it'll be definitely it'll be delayed. So I'll ask one student to share his server on the public level. With the public IP, you can connect and you can join that. So we'll create a usernames and you can log into the server and you can deploy your configurations.
Yeah,
Are you okay?
Jenkins service is there.
Yeah, if you are okay, no
Mm.
problem. If you don't have, you please let me know. We'll give you the IP address and username password we'll create on the Jenkins server in the public area.
Okay.
And one server we will run for a couple of hours in a day for 2 to 3 days. You can practice that environment on the Jenkins server.
Okay.
Again, you need to set up, it'll take delay, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give that environment, you can practice yourself. This is automation. Definitely it is a very, very demanding services. Kubernetes with the CI/CD pipeline creation that we will be given by Monday. Okay,
Okay.
clear. So if
Yeah.
you are setting up, okay, I don't have any problem in that because of last time you created a power on the shutdown. Maybe somebody will be deleted also. But I will give you one Windows server powering on and we'll give the public IP address and address and all. You can log in with the credentials. You can do your activations. Okay, the projects you can create it with your name. Once your work is completed, you can delete it. Not a problem. In case if you have a time right tomorrow and day after tomorrow, you please create it yourself.
Yeah.
So Raji Reddy and Galib, Sashi, you can tell me how many of you are ready with the Kubernetes server now? How many of you created Kubernetes server readily available? I know Gopi you already set up, right?
Yeah, already set up, but I have a problem that mini cubes now. It is.
Minikube is not a problem, brother. I think we already fixed that problem also. That's a Hyper-V issue
Yeah.
is there that we already fixed that. Not a problem. You can
Hyper-V.
leave that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Mm.
We can leave that one. Minikube is not, we are not using anywhere. Uh, you can use it on a EKS environment. You can practice it. Kubectl command, you can directly connect and we can work on that. Okay.
Okay. Mm.
So Minikube I have set up for maybe in case of you don't have a AWS account, you can practice is a separate version. But in real-time environment, we are not using Minikube. Definitely we will be using either Google GCP Kubernetes services or maybe EKS Kubernetes services. We'll use it. So please utilize this time and you can do that. In case of any doubts or setting up the lab, you please call me. I'm available. Okay. I'll help you on that. Okay. Let me stop the record. రేపు ఎల్లుండికి నేను ఖాళీగా